What's going on, gentlemen? In this video, I'm going to show you one of our primary scaling strategies that we use to generate almost $250,000 in the last 30 days with our jewelry brand. And this is going to be through an ABS campaign. So today, I'm going to show you exactly how you can set up an ABS campaign. I'm going to explain what the fuck it is. This can hopefully allow you to add some additional skill to your Shopify stores. Now, before we actually get up in the gritty and dirty to set this campaign up, I want to talk about what the fuck it is and what you need to set it up. So first thing I want to touch on is what it is, right? So traditional campaigns will pace your spend over a 24-hour period, okay? An ABS campaign is essentially going to remove that pacing entirely and allow you to spend more when there's opportunity. So that's the advantage to it. We're going to do this through setting super inflated budgets. What you'll notice on this campaign here is if we go and look at the budget, this is set at $130,000. So it's really high budgets, but again, there's a way to mitigate this so we don't blow through them. So about 100x your target spend is what we're going to be setting these at. And that tells Meta, hey, you have permission to spend aggressively when opportunities arise. Again, this is a scaling campaign, and it can allow you to take your top performing creative, which is one of the criteria we need, and be able to spend a lot more aggressively on top performing creative when there's more opportunity, and add additional scale. Cool. So again, we're going to be utilizing bid caps to control the costs and not budget pacing. We're not going to be really touching the high budget that we send. We're really going to be manipulating two things here, which are going to be the maximum spend limit that we set on our ad set level, as well as the bids, the bid caps that we send. So here's an example. If we want to add $1,000 of additional spend, we would essentially be setting around 100x that as the campaign budget. So about 100,000 as the campaign budget. We'd be setting a cap, which we'll talk about how to identify and set and manipulate to identify the right one. And then we'd be sending an ad spend limit as the safety net, right? So essentially, what you're trying to spend in an additionally in a day, we're going to be setting as the ad set spending limit. We're going to be having an inflated budget, and we're going to be playing around with bids. This lets Meta capture high value conversions instantly instead of holding back spend to hit daily targets. What you need, some winning ads. The more diverse, the better. Ideally 5 to 10 minimum, I would say. And we can look at a few different examples of what I would be including as your creative mix in here. But again, you want to have at least 5 creatives minimum inside of this. And a set of balls, as we're going to be playing with larger budgets, and it's sometimes scary to scale. But the only way you can get more money coming in is if you spend more in accordance to the return on ad spend that you're going to get. We'll also, towards the end of this video, talk about ABC rules or ABS rules, and kind of the 7 non-negotiable rules that I have when managing an ABS campaign. Cool. So without further ado on that, let's hop in and start creating one of these guys. First thing you're going to want to do is click on Create. We're going to go over here, click on Sales. We're going to be creating a sales campaign. Click on Continue. As we get prompted here, we're going to want to go ahead and name this. I'm going to call this ASC because we're using ASC targeting. We're going to call it ABS. And we're going to say top countries. We're going to say top creative as well. So super simple. If you want to have a certain month associated with this, I will sometimes go and say 2508. This is the year, and then this is the month. This is how I like to name things. We're going to go ahead and turn off catalog ads. And we're going to go down here to the budget, make sure it's on campaign budget. On the daily budget, like we said before, we're going to set this about 100x what we're trying to spend on a daily basis in additional spend. So if I'm trying to spend about $1,000, I'm going to be setting this to about $100,000. Now, yes, this looks scary, but again, we're going to be using limits, spending limits on the ad set level to prevent overspend. You want to make sure you add those, or you will be sorry that Zuckerberg takes 100 grand from you. We're going to go ahead and on the campaign bid strategy, go ahead and select bid cap. Standard delivery is perfectly fine for this. We're going to go over to the ad set level. And on the ad set level, I'm going to quite literally name this very similar to what our title here is. We're just going to say ASC, that's our targeting. ABS, that's the strategy we're going with. We're just going to say top countries. Again, very, very similar, top creative. I won't often give a date here unless we have multiple that are going in, multiple ad sets, but you don't in this specific ABS strategy. We're going to go select the data set that we want. We're going to go ahead and make sure you have purchase for your conversion event. And now the $1 million question, what do we start our bid cap at? Now, first thing I want to clarify is, where we want to start this at. I almost 100% of the time have found that starting around $10 to $15 on what your ideal CPA is a great spot to start, okay? Now, what we'll do, and I'll explain in more detail, and you'll also see in the rules that we'll look at later, how I like to manipulate this, but basically you need to identify where do you start to spend. That is the first part of this bid formula, is identifying where are you starting to get some ad spend coming through. One of the biggest issues people get when playing around with bids is just they don't spend. And the other big issue is they overspend. So starting to identify where are you starting to spend is kind of the first step. For us, our target acquisition cost is around $40. So I find that starting about $10 to $15 higher than that, so between $50 and about $55 is where I'm going to be starting my bid. Okay. And we're going to go ahead here and just say $54, right? So that's kind of, a little bit more aggressive towards the 15 end. And what you'll notice, we'll actually go through some real data on this one here that we've successfully scaled. And you'll see that we're right around, on a bid level, we're right around this area. So we're, let's go to edit. You'll see we're right around kind of that $53, $54 area right now with our spend. So it is pretty true, I would say, in my experience, to be around 10 to 15 above your target acquisition cost. So that's what we're going to set to start it off. I'm going to go through the rest of this structure, and then I'm going to again tie back on bid caps and how we're going to be manipulating this, as it's super, super important. Let's go over to, we're going to leave all of this the same. We do want to make sure that we go ahead and add a spending limit. So this is super important. Don't skip this. Check the little ad set spending limit box, go to daily maximum and set the budget that you want to start spending at on a daily basis. Start, and big, bold caps, start with something that you're okay blowing through at the beginning of this, okay? So let's just say I'm perfectly fine running through $200, even if it means, not generating super profitable sales. That's what I'm then going to be starting it off. If it's lower for you, set it lower, right? Like I said, if we're going to be scaling this to about $1,000 in spend a day, we want to make sure that's what our budget is set at. But what we actually start at with the daily maximum can be lower than that. Start with something you're comfortable with, okay? So I'm going to set $200. I'm perfectly fine spending that. We're going to go leave all of this the same. Cool. Locations. Put all the locations that you primarily target and that you can ship to. I'm going to put kind of the top 3 that we sell to. So I'm going to put Australia. I'm going to put United States, and then I'm going to also say United Kingdom. This is kind of like top 3 for us. Cool. And then I'm going to go over to click. So I'm going to click show more controls. And one good practice that I like to do is to add a custom audience exclusion, especially for some of these, for some of these like super top of funnel scaling campaigns. I will often add a very basic exclusion, which is people that have visited your site in the last 60 days. If you don't know how to create this, it's also super simple. You can literally just go to the audiences here, click create new audience. Click create new audience, click website, and run it through. So it's people that have visited your site in the last 60 days. So super simple to do. For languages, I'm going to leave all languages just because these countries I'm targeting, they speak English in. If you're targeting countries that don't have primarily English speakers and your ads are in English, make sure that you are narrowing down by English. Cool. We're going to go to ad set, or sorry, the ad level. This is where we're now going to start importing our actual creatives. Now, here's what you want to do for that. And I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a little bit of an insight of some of our top performing content. So we're going to look at this one since this is a previous top performer, not currently being scaled, so I'm fine. I think I leaked this one a few times already. But basically, let's go ahead, take a look at it. This is, I would say, a really good example of a piece of content that has been able to handle some pretty cool traffic. This is more towards the product aware, I would say, stage. So this is not super unaware when we think of different stages of awareness that our customers are in. But this has scaled really successfully in the past for us. Let's take a look. I'm gonna mute this just because we're gonna get copyrighted. Okay, so pretty much clear product showcase. This is your sign to get her pet face necklace, telling people to go gift our product to her in their lives. So this is one example of what you would want to have inside of the mix. I'm going to go ahead and just show you how to grab the post ID from this. Super simple. You just click on the share. You click on Facebook post with comments, and then we would be grabbing the post ID here. You can click on the date there and then grab this ID. And then that is what we're going to be wanting to, we can just go ahead and name the ad, the ID if we want, and then just go and click on setup ad, use existing post. And we're going to quite literally click select post, search it. If it shows you this, click use recommended. It'll pop up, you click it, you click continue, boom, your ad's in there. So that's how we're going to be injecting these in. Again, this is why we want to be particularly using, this is why we need some winning ads. This is why we need some winning ads. Now, I do also want to showcase some examples of what else you want to have in this mix. Like I said, you want to have a minimum of 5 creatives in here. And I want to touch base on kind of what I mean by diversity. You want to have diversity of your funnel in here. So, for example, flash sale, best deal of the year, buy one, get one free, limited time is another good example here. This is really towards the end of your funnel, to kind of the bottom of the funnel, to get people to get over the edge. So this is another really good example of something you want to have in there. I'll showcase this as well. This is a super emotional piece of copy hitting a slightly different persona and utilizing a slightly different angle to sell. So instead of gifting, we're using a sad emotional angle. I'll go ahead and demonstrate it. Really, what I want you to understand and take away from what I'm showing you now is the diversity. Okay, diversity of content is super important for scale. If you're pushing lots of ad spend through it, you need to have diverse personas that are being spoken to and diverse styles of content. Again, same song, I'm just gonna mute it. But basically, rating places I've cried about my dog necklace, showcasing different places, right? Ties in directly with the person who might have lost a dog as well. So they're relating to that. And then we jump here into introducing the product. If you want to honor your fur baby, get a pet face necklace, which is the product that we sell, right? So you can see, I hope you're getting an idea. Here's another one that's like more towards end of the funnel, bottom of the funnel, right? So this is what I mean by creative diversity. It is extremely important. If you do not have a diverse amount of creative, this campaign is going to end up dying, and you have to always continue to inject new creative that is winning. This is why creative testing is extremely important. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and inject all those different creative styles in here, and you're going to launch this. All right, sweet. So before we get into the 7 rules on how to actually manage these campaigns and get them to scale and spend, I did want to mention, if you're interested in working one-on-one with myself to optimize your projects, I'm accepting 2 more members at the current price for the month of August. You can learn more in the link below or ecom.live/pricing. Let's hop into these rules. So one, never test ABS without ad spending limits. Again, this is your safety net. If you fuck this up, you're going to blow through your entire budget. That's not fun. Start conservative and scale up in 1 to 2 increments. So like I mentioned, we want to identify where are we starting to spend with this bid. That is step one. So starting it off conservatively and then increasing it every single day by $1 to $2 until you start to notice that it spends is the route that you want to take. You don't have to be super aggressive with it. You just want to step it up until it starts to spend. Again, I do want to use this previous campaign that we scaled here as kind of an example of how we approach this. So you can see in terms of spend, we didn't start to spend here until I would say the 21st, 22nd, where you'll notice that we had our bid strategy that was updated. What does that mean? Just means that we're updating the bids. So what we did with this campaign is we started off roughly around $53, $54. And then we started to step it up incrementally until we got it to spend. I think it was like 54 that we started at. Yeah, you can see, so 54.72 went to 55.72, 55.72 went to 56.72, and we kind of just went up and up and up until we started to get it to spend, and that's then when we can actually start optimizing it. So you can see we were able to take this from just about $200 in spend that it started at to what it's kind of waving at right now, which is around $2,000 a day in ad spend. So again, this is going to only happen by you slowly increasing that bid. If you don't, and it's not spending at all, well, it's not going to spend and you're not going to be getting an appropriate return. You need to increase it to identify where it starts to spend. After you get it to start spending, okay, so after you start getting it to hit 100% of the daily budget for multiple days, well, congratulations, it's now spending and you're likely overbidding. What does that mean? It means you want to start decreasing the bid slowly so that you can identify kind of that super efficient bid that you can then start to push more of that budget through. And again, we're going to be pushing budget through playing around with the ad set spending limit. So what does that mean? That means that if we're seeing, let's just pretend that at $54, we're seeing a super great return. We're able to spend like 70 to 90% of our maximum daily budget on it. What can we do? Well, we already have a campaign that's at $100,000, right? We don't need to increase that more. We can instead just increase the maximum limit here, right? So we can go 200 to 300 to 400 to 500. How aggressive should you be with scaling this? Okay, that ties into how good of a return you're getting. If you're getting a really good return on this campaign, be more aggressive with it. Increase it by 50 to 100% per change. Just keep in mind, every time you increase it, it's going to need to learn at the new spend level. So that's something to take into consideration and keep in mind. Oftentimes, the breakthrough bid is not going to be the optimal bid. So just like I showed you guys on our campaign over here, we initially started with 54.72, right? And that was like the starting one. And we're all the way down now to 54.90, right? So we're right kind of back into that area. But at the beginning, right, it wasn't spending at that original start. So it's super important to keep in mind, oftentimes kind of that breakthrough bid where you start to spend isn't going to be the most optimal one. You want to start to step ladder it down after it starts spending. If you're having your CPA trend up for multiple days, right, if you're just spending your entire budget, the entire max limit on the ad set, if you're spending that every single day and you're seeing the CPA kind of tread up, decrease bid. Simple as that. Decrease it, be more aggressive with it, bring it back down to where you're, optimally spending 70 to 80% of your target max budget and not 100% of it. I like to typically check performance every 24 hours. For the first 2 weeks. It does require a little bit more active management, but it does perform the best after you identify that sweet bid and then leave it to learn. Okay. That's kind of where I found it to perform the best. Like I said, the optimal bid is almost always lower than the breakthrough bid. First find spending, then dial it back. Like I was saying here, let's just say our breakthrough was 57, and then we dialed it back to 53.90 or 54.90, whatever that was. So that's the formula, okay? This worked really well for us in the past multiple times. We've done many of these scaling campaigns. Thought I'd share it. This might be beneficial for everybody. I'm going to go ahead and include this link in the bio, and you guys have a good rest of your day. Cheers.